Okay, welcome back. We are on a journey to see if let's call it what it is, somebody who is not experienced, an idiot, can put in a roll cage from Cage Kits by themselves using relatively cheap tools. We just have our Amazon hitbox welder down there. I don't even have enough power in my garage, so I have to do it all off a generator, and things are not going great. So we've already gutted out the car, we've cleaned up the car quite a lot, and we have a lot of our roll cage in, but where we are stuck is that, well, I went a little bit too far and welded a bunch of stuff that I maybe shouldn't have, and now I've got to grind a lot of it back. So far, it seems like a lot of the welds are pretty good. They're maybe not amazing. We are getting penetration. We've done a ton of testing on our welder and on our generator setup and have things pretty much dialed in, although it's not consistent. The welder likes to do some weird stuff where it just turns off all of a sudden. So I realized that I have a lot of grinding to do to check these welds and to come back and re-weld a bunch of it. So that's where we're at right now. And we've got to start with the passenger side top corner where a bunch of pipes all have to meet. And I've already hard welded everything into place. So it's time to get grinding. Okay, we're not too bad. Spent a bit of time grinding. I'm finally starting to get things to fit up correctly. Hopefully you guys can see that, but that one's gonna go in there. That one goes in. I'm probably just tack these in place for right now and go from there. I need to get back to just tacking shit together as opposed to just wanting to weld it all in, because I just spent an hour grinding out a bunch of different things. The upside is it looks like I'm getting good fusion, which is fantastic. So at least we know the welder's putting in enough heat. The downside is like it just very much likes to bubble up. I can't get the wire speed down any lower, so I have to spend a fair bit of time on the weld to get the penetration that I want. The downside is I'm getting a bunch of wire speed. So anyways, so we're in a good spot again, thankfully. So I'm gonna get this crosser in and then potentially get this crosser in, and then I can start to, once these are tacked in, then I can start to tack in the crossbars. I'm feeling positive once again. Thank God, because it was a little dicey there for a little bit. Took about a week off because of how frustrated I was, but it's all about getting back on it. So we all get there. We all get there. And then I gotta weld these to their plates, weld those to their plates. And then the other part that I'm running into, we'll get into in a second, is that for some reason, the anti-intrusion bars don't quite go as far as I want it to. That has nothing to do with Cage Kits. 100%. That's probably me putting crossers in the wrong spot. It looks like I have some more welding I've got to do, but there's a few, like, that's pretty good. Don't look at this one, but like this, I mean, I'm okay with that. And then I got to clean all the cage. I got so much more to do. Anyways, let's get these tacked into place and go from there. Okay, I'm officially in a really good and interesting and also terrible place. So let's talk about it. I have everything tacked in for the crossbar, for the harness bar, everything else. Now, the downside to it is that I need to get back there. So I can either try and pop the trunk and crawl through that way, or keep a portion of this open so at least I can get through. And I think that's probably what I'm gonna go with, is leave that hole open and that hole open and just start to go in and get as much of this welded up as I can. So I'll probably start on the easy side, but everything seems to be in a good spot, and there's nothing else that, like, if it's changes, I'm gonna run into a massive issue. But yeah, that's where we're at. I think I'm supposed to do both bars. It says there's an upper and a lower harness bar, so I'm gonna assume I'm doing both bars. Maybe they'll come back to bite me in the ass later. It's gonna be a little tough to get into some of these spots, but other than that, I think it's time for me to just get some serious welding done and strap myself in and just go for it. I probably still won't do the back pads yet. I'll get everything else welded up and then weld those up at the very end. But yeah, man, this cage sits super tight. I'm super excited with how close we are now. So now it's just time for a lot of welding. I think I'm gonna try and do all the uncomfortable stuff in the back first, and then I'll work my way forward. And that way the easy stuff I can do after. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna get myself situated back there and go to town. Okay, we got pipes welded in. My welding is improving. It's about fucking time. There are definitely some welds I think I'm gonna go and grind out and come back and redo at some point. But we're pretty much there. It looks like it's gonna rain buckets tonight, which sucks. I have to wrap all this up. I'm leaving out these crossers for right now, simply because, well, I need to be able to get back there. So I think I'm pretty much ready to weld the cage now down to the plates. I want to still leave this open until the very end because getting back and forth is a little bit easier through the side than it is to the bottom. And I still have to put pipes there, which now that I look at it, I don't know if I have the right pipe for that. I have to look into this. Interesting. I will say the instructions are really, really good, but I think they're kind of meant for somebody who really does fabrication all the time. So it looks like there's supposed to be a tiny little pipe right there, but there's no labeling for it. And it should be somewhere in the hoop. I think harness bar, tall harness bar, short harness bar, left, intrusion, pillar, guess it. I don't know. But we'll see. I'll see what's left over. Whoop! If this wind is getting crazy. So that's where I'm at, is I think I'm pretty much ready to weld this bad boy down. And we'll go from there. Pretty excited about that. It's gonna be fun. All right, progress is being made. There's been some interesting updates. And yeah, let me walk you through those real quick. Okay, so I want to start by saying, Cage Kits, thank you so much for my terrible, stupid, and uninformed emails. But this is where I ran into an issue. So these bars right here actually come with a marking on them, and I'm sure I'll throw some pictures up here because I had to take some to send to them. So if you're running just a single crossbar, this pipe is already ready to go. It just comes over it, you weld it in. If you are running a full X, well, then you have to trim them. And I could not get that figured out. And these pieces don't actually exist. And I thought they did. So I emailed Cage Kits and I was like, hey, why am I missing these? I wasn't that like that. I was actually very nice. I said, I think I'm an idiot. I'm missing these. And they informed me that if you're running the double X, and I still sent an email and said, well, are they supposed to come off the ends of these? But they're not. So if you're running just a single crosser this way, sorry, because that's a full pipe, these come right over. You just weld them in place. If you decide to do the X, which I did because I'm still kind of concerned about my welding, so I'm trying to put as much structural reinforcement as I can, well then you basically just cut them where they mark it out and then they line right up. And well, that's basically where I'm at right now. And you can see there is some primer back there. That is because it is actually decided to rain here, thankfully. We were actually under like a massive burn watch. So I've been very careful with doing any work on this because I don't want to start a forest fire or grass fire or anything else. I actually had to use the fire extinguisher because I panicked a little bit. You can see a little bit there. It ended up having a hot piece of slag drop down, catch something underneath the car. I have the hose all laid out. I used the fire extinguisher as well. I was super paranoid about it. But where we're at is I kind of want to try and get as much of the back done as I can, at least on the priming side of things, because I have this opening available. So I do have these trimmed out. They do provide the line. My cutting is not amazing, as with all of this. I have to do a bit of cleaning on it, but that does line up. And I'm more or less leaving both of these bars open until I'm pretty much done. And then I think what I'm going to do is either order, they actually have like a gusset that can go in there, and I think I might order those just to make sure, because I mean obviously this is like where my life is, so I want to make sure of that. I did go through and clean up some of these welds as well. I ground them back. Every weld that I've ground back so far is fully fused, which is fantastic, and I think I figured out something with the welder as well. So there's been a lot of updates. So what was actually happening is when I cleaned the tip out, and I don't understand fully why, and maybe somebody can explain this to me, maybe I'm an idiot, but if I would press it, it would short out, and then it would reset the settings on there, and then the welds would be terrible. And I think it's just that, like, I don't know, but basically I kind of have to keep the tip a little bit dirty, because if not, if I like, I don't even know if this is going to reach, if I was like doing any welding and I would basically touch that, or I would like have to lean up against something, it would kind of short out and it would reset. this. The other thing that I did is I bought a big ass spool and 3D printed a spacer to go into it because it does not natively fit. Maybe it did and I lost the piece. So that's where we're at. I'm making a good bit of progress. I'm pretty happy about it, to be honest. I know that's a big departure from where things were earlier, where I felt like I was ready to give up on the project. I still have a lot of doubts. I still have a lot of things I'm trying to more or less get through, but I'm much happier with the way that things are going. So this is what needs to happen next. There's still a couple spots I want to clean up. As you can see there, that is from when I was using the chisel to get some of the sound deadening off. A lot of this primer will more or less get scuffed back, but I just wanted to kind of clean up any of the edges. I've got a lot of that. I should get back there and clean that up. And I think what I'll try and do is just use the rattle can to get some primer on the back of the bars as well. Painting back there is gonna suck. I think I'm basically gonna have to open the trunk, lay through the trunk, and then spray some of these spots, and then also just get some primer to get into some of the tight spots, put it like in a cup and paint it on or something like that. And then I wanna slowly start working my way either from the front or the back or something like that. Continue to scuff up the paint, continue to get some of the seam sealer out. There's a few spots like over there where the body is coming out a bit that I feel like I should tack up. But you can see a lot more now that, like, I think this thing's been hit. I don't know 100%. Maybe it's just where, like, jacking up the car or something, but the floor is pretty dented up. So yeah, I should probably cut this piece out too, but we're in a much better spot. Look at it. See, I know it's huge. I get that it's huge. That's one that I ground back, and then I kind of just did like a big zigzag weld all the way back and forth just to make sure that it was fully encapsulated, because it is a structural piece. So I know people are going to get mad at this, but I'm just a baby. I'm trying to figure it out. So I think I'm just going to keep cleaning up. I'm going to maybe work on the passenger side right now, keep cleaning it up, keep grinding it down, get as much of the seam sealer out as I possibly can, and go from there. And just kind of like, as I go, work, just prime that section, and then I know it's done. Like I said, I'll probably have to come back through a lot of these, clean them up, because like dust and shit's getting into it, but it doesn't need to be perfect. I'm just doing my best. I'm also doing this outside, which doesn't help. So yeah, I will say thank you everybody who commented and giving me support in this. The amount of self-doubt is ridiculous, and I'm hugely concerned that people are just going to get mad and be like, oh, you shouldn't be doing this, this is unsafe. I'm doing everything I possibly can to try and make this as safe as possible. The nice thing is that the G's are so robust that I think even without the cage, it's a massively strong car. Okay, progress looking good. I'm just kind of trying to prime as I go. I'm still gonna have to come back and like clean stuff up, but it more or less lets me know where I'm at. This generator has been phenomenal. And something else that's actually been really, really good is I got sent these Speedy wheels, and they have been, I would say, some of the best cutoff wheels I've ever had. None of them have exploded. I've beaten the living shit out of them. They last forever. They cut super well. I mean, honestly, I've had zero complaints about them, and obviously they look pretty sick. I might have to see if maybe they'll make me a set in the Stroms. I don't know, but I'm gonna cut off that little guy right there. Let's see if we can zoom in. Come on, that guy right there. That's a lot. I can't see any reason for that to stay. Starting to get concerned though that I might need a foot plate in here just because of how high up everything is. So. And I gotta figure out how to get back behind the gas pedal there. I really didn't want to take the pedals out, but I might have to. I really don't want to. But we're getting close, almost there. Okay, we are back once again, and there's been a lot of progress. I have paint ready, ordered it, and things look a little different than when you saw them last. So here's where we're at. Right now I have what I kind of just call like a scratch coat or a scuff coat or something. I don't know how you would call it, but essentially just a very light layer of primer all over everything to more or less let me know if there's spots that I've missed and to keep everything sealed up, because things do rust a little bit in Florida. It also lets me know some spots that I could like grind back because they look terrible. Things along those lines. I have yeah, I have this ready to go. I'm still on the fence of if I want to remove the back glass. I kind of do, but I'm also like, do I care that much? I'll have paint left over, so I could always repaint it if something ever happens. Handbrake is lifted up, so when I get in here to start painting, I got to clean out that stuff. I finally have the tools coming for this. It's been a lot on the go. Let's go see the paint quick. Okay, so this is going to be the color of the interior. Of course, I went with teal. It is a mica. This is actually, if you want to take a look at it, splash green from Mazda. It was a limited color on Miatas. It's similar to a seafoam variant that was on Proteges, but the seafoam variant was a little bit darker. So shouts out to the guys over at Single Source for hooking me up, making this all happen. Greatly appreciated. So that is going to be, there's a black primer coat that's going to go down first. I wanted to do black for two reasons. One, it'll help richen the color, hopefully, just based on my Google searches, although I'm sure some paint people will tell me otherwise. Two, it'll let me know if I've missed anything after I've gone through this scratch coat. The other thing that I have to look at is going to be the dash bar. So I do have to obviously like tape up some more wires and get all that stuff sorted, but I want to put the dash bar back in. I just have to remove a lot. So this trailer's kind of been temporary storage for a lot of it, but this is essentially the dash bar layout. So I want to cut off like basically all the tabs that I'm not going to need, which is going to be everything on this side, everything in this central section, and then a lot of this, but not all of it, simply because, yeah, I need to be able to hook the steering wheel back up. It doesn't really fit back in with everything else in there now. So I'm going to start cutting off some tabs to make it a little bit easier. This center section for sure can come off. I don't really need that. And then I'll start looking at how this fits on top of that. There's going to be a little bit of finicky work, but I want the stock dash back in for better or for worse. And I still want the gauge cluster to work, and I need the steering wheel hook up there. We are, as of tomorrow, 2 weeks away from one of the big events over at OSW. I'm going to be announcing that, but I'm also going to be driving. So that's my new deadline. I kind of missed my previous one because the scope creeped and got out of hand, but it's fine. The only other thing I have left to do today is put the intrusion bars in. I was back and forth on this. There's a few reasons for that. Hang on. One of those reasons is that this plate for the intrusion bar will actually, I think I've got, oh yeah. This plate will actually have an issue with the pull for the hood. And I don't want to put hood pins in. I kind of like the clean look of it. So I'm going to modify this a little bit so I don't have to pull that out, but I'm going to have to pull it out to then modify this to weld it. So there's like more work than I wanted to do, but I've come this far, and really intrusion bars are super important. It's a safety thing, and if I'm going to have people in here, it needs to happen, especially myself. I don't want to take myself out because I didn't put in a bar because I was lazy and didn't want to do the work. So that's where we're at today. I'm probably going to do the intrusion bars first. I'll start on the passenger side because it's a little bit easier. Give myself some momentum. If you're struggling with getting projects done, something I found that helps, and this is something like I do in my work life a lot, is just like get an easy win in. Get something done that's like relatively simple. That's the easiest part of the job. And then you can start tackling harder and harder things. That's a little bit easier. So intrusion bar first, which means I got to strip back some of this paint, get it laid out, and then probably do the other intrusion bar. Then I'll start working on the dash while that cools off. And then, yeah, I'll tape up a couple more things. Might tape up the back glass. And then I don't think I'm going to prime today. I could, maybe. I still have to, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I do want to cut those off, I think. I'm probably going to go through and remove some bolts as well once the dash bar goes back in, just to clean that up as well. So yeah, I got a lot. I got a lot more than I originally thought, but here we are. Okay, anti-intrusion bars are in. Admittedly, that was brutal. I went through, shaved off a couple more bolts. Those ones I'm going to keep because there's like a bar that goes across. It looks pretty structural. And as long as it fits, and I'm happy to even modify it, I feel like it's a good idea. This is what's next. So basically, I kind of got to go through and start eliminating things I know I don't need. I don't think I'm going to need this part, because that's where like the center console goes. I don't think I'm going to need anything on this side. I'll probably get rid of this middle one first because it's stopping me from putting anything in. Just cut the welds out, and then I'll see if it fits, and then it's going to be a lot of back and forth, I think. I think that's what it's going to be. Well, I've done a lot of work to try and get this bar to fit back, to get the hangers and everything else. Here's just a little bit of what's going on. I've cut it in half. I've done all this work, only really to find out that this crash bar lines up almost perfectly. Now, the only downside with it is that the diameter of this and the diameter of that are very different. So I might have to cut a section off of this to then fit in there, or I'm just gonna kind of notch out where those mounts fit. But yeah, that actually sits very, very well. So I do want to keep the stock steering column for a few reasons. But yeah, I think I'm gonna just notch this out or see if I can kind of bang it into place and throw some welds in and go to town. All right, so one more thing on the go. I want to get the dash in, at least as close as I could. I cut a lot out. I just honestly just want a spot that I can kind of tuck up some wires. Maybe I'll see about getting that back in there. I think it's kind of cool. I should probably clean that up because now I realize it's going to be visible, but I'll see if the gauges go in, but we're getting there. That's going to get painted though. Yeah, I'll get some vinyl spray for that. Okay, progress continues. I took the pedals out to make painting easier. I've been going back through and just trying to clean stuff up. I've been trying to clean up welds as well. I mean, the upside is any weld I've ground into has been solid. The trunk is a complete mess, but yeah, anything I've ground into is completely solid, which is great. But I just wanted to like this. I mean, that looks so much better than the way it was. This one had a problem. That one I'm pretty proud of. Same thing up in these big junctions. It got pretty sloppy. So I ground it back and then just tried to do like more like wider loops, if you will. I think it's the only way I can explain it. Other than that, scuffed up a lot of it. I still have to scuff up the back. I kind of just need to lock myself back there and do it. I was looking at taking out the rear windshield or rear glass, I guess, but I'm not going to. I'm just gonna, when I go to prime, I'm just gonna climb back there and just shoot it and be happy with whatever comes out. So lots more cleanup to do. I still have to scrub down this stuff. I vacuumed this thing out 100 times, but for today, that is all I'm gonna do. Yeah, and then it's supposed to rain tomorrow, which is Friday, and then it's supposed to rain Saturday. So I'm hoping Sunday I can go in, finish scuffing this up, give it a wire wheel as best I can, and possibly prime it, and then maybe paint it on Monday. That's what I'm thinking, but we'll have to see. Okay, pretty much there. I'm gonna go through and spray everything down to get as much stuff off it as I can. There's a little wind, which is nice. And then tack cloth. And I think I'm in the clear, and I'm gonna be able to put down, I'm actually gonna be able to put down, oh my God, primer today. So we shall see. Okay, it doesn't look any different for you, but for me it is clean, minus all the fucking leaves I have to keep dealing with. I'm keeping that dirty, that way if there is some overspray, it'll just come off. My biggest concern is getting back here. I think I'm gonna have to like go in from the trunk and just kind of spray it. So I may even like start with that and spray that part first, get the worst part out of the way. You know, downsize and I'm climbing through everything, or I leave that to the end. Yeah, let's go at the end. I'm gonna try and do that back sill first. I'll climb in and go from there. That's the best I can do. So I'll try and get you set up somewhere so you can see all this, but it's gonna be interesting. Hopefully the weather holds for me. Doing it underneath an oak tree is not a good idea, but yeah, see? I just gotta be aware, that's all. I'm gonna try and tarp it up as I go, but this is where I'm at. And we are officially primed. Not perfect, but I'll take it. I managed to figure out how to get wrapped as far around all the poles as I could. I'm gonna have to sand a few spots back because of some drippage. The gun got clogged because I'm an idiot, and I had to redo that. And anyways, we're pretty much where we want to be. Like I said, there's a couple of spots here and there, but I mean, all things considered, the black looks pretty sick. And if I didn't already pick out the blue, I would be totally fine with this setup. So yeah, give it overnight to dry. I'll probably wrap it up in the tarp, and yeah, to paint tomorrow and to deal with all this, because once again, I am an idiot. So, pretty stoked though. Okay, it's the next day, and priming went pretty well, not perfect, and here are the results. This is what it looks like. Nice and cured up. Looking pretty good. Maybe not perfect, but pretty good. There's a few spots I wish would add a little bit better. I'm gonna have to go through and vacuum all this out, but the bare steel looks great. Everything else looks really, really good. And yeah, I did run into a few issues. I'm gonna talk about those here now. Okay, so one of the biggest issues is the length of this gun. It is massive with everything on it. I did a Harbor Freight haul and got a free bucket, which is great. And yeah, so I gotta rebuild that, but I am gonna wrap up the video for this, video. I did just drop this, which is the Talk to Me About Drifting shirt. So if you want more people to talk to you about drifting, this shirt will do it. If you're an introvert, maybe you'll make some new friends. But that's gonna do it on the next one. I'm going to rebuild the paint system to get ready for paint, and then get into actually painting it. So appreciate it. If you're watching this and you haven't become a member yet, I would greatly appreciate that. It's 99 cents a month. You've already seen this video early, and you get a bunch of cool stuff. Check out jacko13.com. Grab your merch, grab your Talk to Me About Drifting shirt, and we'll catch you on the next one.